Okay, this morning we meet to mark up three bills, H.R. 1733, 2872, and 2880. The first piece of legislation, H.R. 1733, is a bipartisan bill. All these are bipartisan bills, introduced by Mrs. Brooks and Mr. Kennedy, that simply requires that the Secretary of Energy update a report on the energy and environmental benefits of refining used lubricating oil. Recycling used lubricating oil is certainly good for the environment, reduces energy consumption, and in fact, produces high-quality products for consumers. I want to thank both of my colleagues for working in a bipartisan fashion on this very important bill. We're also marking up two bills to promote new hydropower development at existing non-power dams and closed-loop pump storage projects. And as we've heard in testimony before this subcommittee, that these projects are a win-win. Minimal environmental impact, new investment, jobs, added benefits to the grid. H.R. 2872, promoting hydropower development at existing non-power dams act, was introduced by Mr. Bashan to promote new hydropower development at existing non-power dams by providing that FERC has the discretion to grant exemptions from license requirements for certain qualifying facilities. And as we heard in the testimony before this subcommittee and committee, the greatest potential for new hydropower projects are at existing dams. However, there is a lot of red tape, and regulatory agencies could do a better job coordinating with each other. H.R. 2880, promoting closed-loop pump storage hydropower act, was introduced by Mr. Griffith to promote closed-loop pump storage hydro development by limiting FERC's authority to impose only licensing conditions that are necessary to protect public safety or are reasonable, economically feasible, and essential to protect fish and wildlife resources. Closed-loop pump storage is not a new technology, but with the changing energy landscape, new opportunities could become available, such as repurposing abandoned coal mines for hydro projects. Hydropower is the nation's #1 renewable, producing electricity with negligible emissions. Today, it's responsible for providing 7% of the nation's total energy needs. And with continued technological advancement and smarter regulations, hydropower generations could expand by an additional 50% by 2025. These two bills represent good faith efforts to increase hydropower across the country. Appreciate the cooperation of colleagues on both sides of the aisle through the process. I understand that they're still concerned with some of the hydro bills. We're committed to working with them so that we can move these bills out of committee to the House floor as soon as possible. I also want to note that today's markup is the last markup for a guy that's been with us for a lot of years. We were so fortunate to land him at the beginning, but Tom Hassenbohler, stand up so we know who you are here in the back. 25 million watching this on C-SPAN.
Thank you.
He's been a great guy. He has shepherded so many different pieces of legislation. He's always had a great reputation here among our committee members on both sides of the aisle. But we'll also note that he's gone across to the other side of the Capitol, and we've got a pretty good relationship over there as we've been able to move a number of bills through that process. Tom will be with us down the street. Always a great guy, but we wish you the very best. And we're
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Oh,
would you yield?
Would yield to the chairman of the full committee.
With the support of the committee, I just want to thank Tom as well. I've had a great opportunity to work with him as chairman of the committee and off and on before that, and as one of the most thoughtful people, counsels, legislative assistants, whatever you want to call it. I guess he actually started as Jerry Curry's intern, so we're going to miss you, Tom. You set a high standard, I think, for anybody on staff, and Hudson and I are former staffers around here, and you really appreciate people who get it, understand, know how to work with members, bring intellect to the process, and help move good legislation, bipartisan legislation along. And you've done that. You've served the country well. We will miss you, but thank you for your great service. I yield back.
Just an inside story, I also appreciate him going to meetings where they wanted me, and I knew that he would do Okay. Yeah. With that, yield to the ranking member of the subcommittee, Mr. Rush.
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. I want to, first of all, extend my congratulations to Tom, too. Tom, you're really someone who we've been looking forward to seeing you gone, man. You have been a worthy opponent, an adversary, and now that since you're departing, we think that we're in better shape now to get our side better consideration, and maybe we can prevail a little bit better. You've been outstanding in your service, and I want to congratulate you also. Mr. Chairman, I just want to thank you so much for this markup and on three bills, H.R. 1733 and 2872 and 2880. And Mr. Chairman, as you know, we haven't completely sealed the deal on the two hydropower bills, H.R. 2872 and 2880, but we understand that the minority and majority committee staff will continue to negotiate in good faith following today's subcommittee markup, and I fully expect to reach a bipartisan agreement on both bills at some point in the near future. So, Mr. Chairman, in the interest of time, again, I look forward to supporting both of these bills today, and in the interest of time, I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back. Other members wishing to speak, give an opening statement? Chair would recognize the ranking member of the full committee, Mr. Pallone, for opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to submit my statement for the record as well, ask unanimous consent. But I did want to say farewell to Tom also. I mean, he's really been a major part of our bipartisan success, particularly on energy and environment issues. And he, I think, always made it possible to find a way to bring us together and as Democrats and Republicans, and I think that's really so important. And he just has a very positive attitude, which I've always thought is very important around here. So, Tom, I wish you well in your next endeavors. I heard a little bit about it from Rick Kessler, and it sounds like it's going to be real interesting. Congratulations.
Gentleman yields back. Other members wishing to speak, give an opening statement. If not, the chair would call up H.R. 1733 and ask the clerk to report.
H.R. 1733, to direct the Secretary of Energy to review and update a report on the energy and environmental benefits of the re-refining of used lubricating oil.
And without objection, the first reading of the bill is dispensed with. The bill will be open for amendment at any point. So ordered. Are there any bipartisan amendments to the bill? Are there any amendments to the bill? Seeing none, the question now occurs on forwarding H.R. 1733 to the full committee. All those in favor will say aye.
Can I speak on it on behalf of it?
Gentleman is recognized to strike the last word.
Real quick?
Real quick.
I'll be real quick. Thank you. I want to thank the chairman and the ranking member for holding this markup, and to Representative Brooks and partner on this bill, H.R. 1733. The re-refining of used oil makes sense. The process removes contaminants from used oil and blends additives to restore the oil to its original effectiveness. This process can be done as many times as feasible, and the oil produced is suitable for use in all types of gas and diesel engines. Additionally, this process promotes energy efficiency, as the production of usable base stock from recycled used lubricating requires significantly less energy than producing stock of crude oil. In 2005, as part of the Energy Policy Act, this Congress instructed the Department of Energy to, quote, undertake a study of the energy and environmental benefits of re-refining of used lubricating oil, and to report back on recommendations to improve the increase of the benefits of reuse of such oil. The resulting study, released in 2006, is now over a decade old. While we know recycling and re-refining used oil is beneficial, we do not have the necessary updated data to inform Congress of its current policy choices that must be made in this area. This bill would require DOE to update the 2006 study, and additionally, it would direct the department to develop a set of recommendations and national strategies that could promote the beneficial use of reused oil. I urge my colleagues to support this legislation and yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back. Other members wishing to speak? Seeing none, the question now occurs on forwarding H.R. 1733 to the full committee. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the bill is forwarded on. Clerk, chair now calls up the bill, H.R. 2872 and asks the clerk to report.
H.R. 2872, to amend the Federal Power Act to promote hydropower development at existing non-powered dams and for other purposes.
And without objection, the first reading of the bill is dispensed with. The bill will be open for at any point. Are there any bipartisan amendments to the bill? Are there any amendments to the bill? Seeing none, the question now occurs on forwarding H.R. 20.
Mr. Chairman,
Chair would recognize a gentleman from Indiana.
I'd like to strike the last word to speak on the bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank the committee for bringing forth my bill, H.R. 2872, promoting hydropower development at existing non-powered dams act. Hydropower provides benefits in the form of jobs, economic investment, improved public health, and resource conservation. In 2015, hydropower accounted for 6% of the total U.S. electricity generation and 46% of the electricity generation from renewables. Yet still less than 3% of dams in the U.S. actually produce electricity. A recent report by the Department of Energy found that by 2050, U.S. hydropower production could grow by almost 50% from current levels from a combination of upgrading existing hydropower facilities, adding generation capacity to existing non-powered dams, and developing new hydropower facilities. The study found that the U.S. has more than 50,000 suitable non-powered dams for developing hydropower, with the technical potential to add 12 gigawatts of hydroelectric capacity. However, the licensing process routinely requires 7 to 10 years to complete and costs tens of millions of dollars. The cost and duration of the process creates significant uncertainty and has the potential to delay or prevent investments that would add hydropower and improve operational efficiency and safety to these dams. H.R. 2872 promotes hydropower development at existing non-powered dams by providing the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC, with the discretion to grant exemptions from licensing requirements for qualifying facilities. At a time where this committee is examining our nation's electrical grid and its reliability, it is critical that we modernize our existing infrastructure by promoting hydropower at existing non-powered dams. As we move towards full committee, I look forward to working with my colleagues across the aisle to find a bipartisan path forward on this legislation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back. Question now occurs on forwarding H.R. 2872 to the full committee. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. In opinion of the chair, the ayes appear to have it. They have it, and the bill is forwarded on. Last bill of the morning, the chair would call up H.R. 2880 and ask the clerk to report.
H.R. 2880, to amend the Federal Power Act to promote closed-loop pump storage, hydropower, and for other purposes.
Without objection, the first reading of the bill is dispensed with. The bill will be open for amendment at any point, so ordered. Are there any bipartisan amendments to the bill? Are there any amendments to the bill? Seeing none, the question now occurs on forwarding H.R. 2880 to the full committee. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the bill is forwarded. So, without objection, staff is authorized to make technical and conforming changes to the legislation approved by the subcommittee today. I would also like to note, I'm sorry that one of our clerks lost a bet and had to wear that hideous tie. At least he had a good coffee mug. And without objection, the subcommittee stands adjourned.